There is an issue that I think it was Gloria that drew out some more of the points about racism and justice is blind and things like that we had joined her on, that she was kind of friendly debate with me a little bit on dissenting opinion on some of the views I expressed. I'd like to put a kind of a final wrap on it. There's just one more thing that I'd like to say. Me personally, my history. I grew up in a small town in Alaska, Sitka, where about half the population was Native American, and I hated school, and most of the Native Americans hated school also, and so in the dummy class, 8th grade, 13 years old, room 8D. That's right next to F. There's A, B, C, D, E. The smart class, they were 8A. The next smart class was 8B, C, D. There was only 4 classes. It was a small school. I was in 8D with all of the Native Americans. That 8D class was about 80% Native American. But I hated school, and most of the Native Americans were smart enough to hate school also. And so we were all stuck in the dummy class, okay? And so early on, I was happy in a lot of ways with those Native Americans. Tlinkits and Haida is the particular tribes in Southeast America. I know what I'm talking about. Those Native Americans, they knew that school system was a slave camp. It was a mind manipulation camp. All of the white people that I got to pal around with once in a while out in the playground and stuff during break times, physical education and things, they were stupid. It was the Native Americans that were up to speed on how all of this is just a big evil empire dominance and control operation, and to shift from my own schooling and since young age backgrounds about all these things. My father was a working class man. His father was a working class white man, and his father before him was a working class white man. And I didn't know them, but from what history I can glean, they were against the slave trading evil empire also. We've hated the evil slave trading masters for generations upon generations upon generations. It's in my DNA code. I hate the slave traders. And there were a lot of white slaves in early America also. I wouldn't be surprised if that's how my Stewart family came over here, was slaves. I don't know. But they're under. Anytime any black person jumps up and starts complaining about racism, I'm going, yeah, I'm with you. Let's do something about these slave trading bastards that are causing your racial oppression, because they're oppressing us white working class people also just as much. Let's talk about how we're going to take them down. Talk about how we're going to take their privilege and power away from them. Can we talk about that? Something constructive instead of just talking about your specific issue on racism? Because if we're going to work together, it's got to be about more than racism. It has to be about changing the evil empire system so this racism is no longer a problem. And when we talk about dismantling the evil empire slave trading jurisdiction, then we've got common ground. When we're just talking about oppression of black people, well, I'm sympathetic to you, but that's not a common ground that me and my ancestors are enthused about. But if we can reword it so that it's about dismantling the oppressive evil empire, and go ahead and definitely include that as part of what we're looking for in the larger agenda for justice for all, then we can all work together. But as long as we can't put the blindfold on, justice is blind, I don't think it's evil empire municipal blind. I think the principle of the justice is blind and things like that is legitimate. And anyway, that's kind of a quick and dirty summary of where my heart is really at with regard to this issue. I do hope to be working with good people of all races. And believe me, please, I got serious, nasty problems with a lot of white people. Joe Biden and Donald Trump are at the top of my list. They're both white people, and I despise both of those people. So I do hope to bring all people together in righteous indignation against the slave traders that are destroying the rights of all people of all races and belief systems. So it felt good to get that off my chest, and that might be some new light for Lewis or any of the other people that are supporting him. If any of y'all would like to respond, are you?
This is Lewis. I'd like to respond. First, I'd like to, Gloria, I thank you for your comment as well. I was in complete agreement. However, I just had, when I came on, I addressed a different issue. But I think that everything that you said was, in fact, on point. Thank you, Charles, for sharing your personal experiences there, and I'm in agreement. And I will also say this, that the power brokers, the money manipulators, the true power structure, they recognize from the union of the working classes and the people getting together, they recognize that as their major threat. As such, they begin to offer little caveats for the working class whites to separate themselves from everyone else. So they recognize that the union of the people was a threat to their power structure, and they then look to divide. And they've been very effective for how many years now? Hundreds of years now. So we've got the ability to correct that. But as Gloria mentioned, the conversation must take place. So although, we've taken an hour and 45 minutes of something that we're still on 2B or 2A, this was necessary, in my opinion, to clear the air where everyone knows where everyone stands on this call. And if you are of like mind and believe that, the dismantling that the power structure and the inequality, specifically, which starts with ethnicity, called, again, inappropriately racism, but really is an economic issue. Okay, it's all about a dollar on this country. That's been the case from day one. And they make decisions based upon, economics. So if we're, again, we know people that are of like mind and would like to see a community and society that is inclusive of all and a just society, then this is the call for those people to participate on. This call, the Wednesday union call, these are the calls that look to bring the people together that are actually moving in one direction. If you are one that says that there is no white privilege and what is this white privilege bullcrap, this is not the call for you. And that needs to be very clear as well. So, again, with that, I would yield. I think this call was very necessary. And thank you for taking the time to have this. And again, it's 6:45 at this point, so obviously we're not going to make it through this agenda that you had for today, at least during the recorded business section, the business section of the call. The call will continue to be recorded, but just the 7 o'clock period. Perhaps we can pick this up again the 2 weeks from tonight and move forward. With that, I yield.